And what started off as a quiet day two of jury deliberations took a 180 real quick, with a group of 12 New Yorkers finding former President Donald Trump guilty on 34 counts of falsifying business records. In other words, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee is now the first former U.S. president to be found guilty of a crime. And we don't know yet if that verdict is going to result in probation or Trump sitting in prison, but we will find out on July 11th. That's just 4 days before he's scheduled to step on the stage for the Republican National Convention. And just shortly after the verdict was announced, the Trump campaign wasted no time sending out a fundraising email in which Trump said in all caps, "I am a political prisoner." Let's bring in NBC's Hallie Jackson. Hallie, first and most obvious question here for so many Americans tonight. How likely is it that Trump is physically going to be put in shackles and booked into a prison here?
Not likely. Just totally candidly here, we know when the sentencing is going to be, Gotti, and it's good to be with you tonight on this really historic evening here with these guilty convictions now for former President Trump. Here's the deal. He's going to be sentenced on July 11th. From what legal experts have told us, it is unlikely that the former president will end up behind bars. Obviously, that is a possibility. There is a chance that it happens. But remember, he is a first-time offender. This is a nonviolent set of crimes that he's been convicted of, these falsification of business records here. And so the guidance from the folks who are immersed and steeped in the law of it all is that it is unlikely that Judge Merchan would sentence him. There is, listen, if it happens, there is this dynamic of the Secret Service. Remember, this is somebody who is entitled to and who gets Secret Service protection by dint of being formally in the White House here, Gotti. And so that is a dynamic that's at play here. One legal expert has suggested there are other options. If there were to be some kind of confinement, there are other options that the judge could do, like, for example, home confinement, et cetera. Again, that does seem outside the realm of likelihood here, but just want to give you a sense of what's on the table.
Always love that, Hallie Jackson, realism. Hallie, Donald Trump notably saying that the real verdict is going to be on November 5th by the people. Can you give us an overview of what kind of bearing you see this having on the election? Yeah,
it's a great question, Gotti, and I think it is one that at this point, at least, as we sit here on May 30th, is unanswerable, at least for now. Now, there are some signals that we've gotten from polling previously that suggest that, 2/3 to 3/4 of Americans, when polled over the course of the last month, say that whatever happens here, whatever the guilty or not guilty situation was, it isn't going to change their vote. They're going to vote the same way regardless. That said, when you look at the numbers, about a 10% to 23% of independent voters have suggested that a conviction would make them less likely to vote for former President Trump. We know that about 60% of independents believe that the charges brought in this hush money case are serious. Why does that matter? 10%, that's not a big number. 20%, not a huge number here. But this is a very close election, and it is independent voters who are going to be critical in determining who ends up in the White House come November. All that said, it is different to poll a hypothetical than it is to poll a reality. Right now that this reality is in front of voters, what will they say moving forward at this point? The reaction from both candidates will matter. And there's something interesting that has happened here, too, Gotti. A rare moment of agreement between Donald Trump and Joe Biden here, because both of them say that the political verdict is going to come from the American people in November.
And Hallie, this is one of those days where you log on to the internet and it seems like everyone's an expert, and yet there are some people who have been watching this, following all the ins and outs of this case, and are still tonight like, wait, I know it's 34 felony counts, and I know that it has to do with that one payment to Stormy Daniels, but what's he guilty of in layman's terms here? You're so much better than this, than I am at breaking this down. But is it basically lying on business records to cover up this payoff and affect the 2016 election?
You are great at this, Gotti, and I would just slightly tweak what you've said here, which is this. The actual charges, the actual counts that he was convicted on are 34 counts of falsification of business records. 34 counts because it involved series of checks, entries into the general ledger, and invoices from Michael Cohen, right? So it's these documents. It's literally, pieces of paper. It's records. That is the actual counts that he's been convicted on here. Now, they are felony counts. Typically, they'd be misdemeanors. They are felony counts because the jury has now decided that there was essentially an object crime, that he was doing this falsification in subject of a second criminal offense by unlawful means, essentially, and that is election interference. That is the case premise that the prosecution laid out, that it was essentially to try to interfere in the 2016 election. So that is what he is found guilty of. I will say this, it is not illegal to have an NDA, right? Like a non-disclosure agreement. That is not against the law. The piece of this that is this jury has decided is against the law that he's been convicted on is essentially making those payments as almost like a campaign contribution to help him on the campaign without actually reporting it. So that's what this really all comes down to here.
All right, and Hallie, feel free to reel me in here, but his defense seemed to be very much like, I didn't know what was going on. I'm a busy man. I had no idea. And it seems like this conviction is like, yeah, you did. You knew what was going on, and it was fraudulent, and you lied, and you were responsible for what happened.
Well,
is that oversimplifying?
The issue of intent was central to this, right? Did he have the intent to try to conceal a crime here? And so the jury has found, by finding him guilty on all 34 counts. And there was a question, maybe it would be a mixed verdict, that they would acquit him on some counts, find him guilty on the others. That's not the case. It's 34 for 34 here as it relates to a guilty verdict from the jury. And so essentially, the issue of intent is one that the jury found exists here for former President Trump. Now, his defense took a couple of different tacks, right? It was, hey, these weren't falsified. This wasn't illegal in the first place. But the other thing they tried to do was to seriously discredit the prosecution's star witness here, Michael Cohen, whose testimony was front and center in this case. He is somebody who has acknowledged lying to a lot of various entities, to a lot of various people here. And the defense went after him again and again, hammered him to basically cast doubt on his credibility, to say to the jury, wait a second, you're going to believe Michael Cohen? You're going to believe this guy here? Clearly, the jury, by virtue of the verdict that they came back with, did find Michael Cohen to be, to a degree, credible here. I will note that the prosecution made a point, and you heard it in the closing arguments from prosecutors here, they made a point to say, almost everything that Michael Cohen said to you is backed up by documents, by receipts, by other evidence as well.
A lot of receipts in this one. And the sentencing, we're looking at 4 days before the Republican convention. Yeah. That is such a clash of court and campaign calendars. Does this further galvanize the GOP behind Trump, or is there a possibility that we could see any breakup or any schisms form?
We have seen none so far, right? I mean, we have seen, in fact, the opposite, Gotti, which is the Republican Party moving very quickly to back up former President Trump as it relates to his claims that this was in his words, or in his view, I should say, I'm paraphrasing, a sham trial, that this was rigged, et cetera, starting with the most powerful Republican in Congress, which is the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, who came out almost immediately calling this a shameful day in American history. And there is a laundry list of Republican lawmakers who have come out and echoed that sentiment, including many who were on the sort of short list to potentially be the former president's running mate here. I will say this, as you talk about the calendar. So just to tell you, real talk, Gotti, judge says July 11th. We see this in our notes coming in from our team in the courtroom that sentencing is July 11th. Immediately, I pulled up my Google Calendar and I said, that is 4 days before the Republican convention is supposed to start, because mid-July is a critical moment. That is when the current presumptive Republican nominee, who has now been convicted of these felonies, will be we don't have to say the word presumptive anymore. He is expected to be the nominee. And the other collision course here, too, is this Veep stakes race, because the former president has suggested he will not pick a running mate until closer to the convention, until maybe in early July. You look back to 2016, he selected Mike Pence as his running mate, or at least formally announced it, just 3 days before the start of that year's convention. So might you have this moment where the former president is naming a running mate, getting sentenced for felonies, and then going and showing up to be nominated for the Republican presidential nomination? That is entirely in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I think you just replaced the word election in my brain with collision course. Hallie Jackson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Guy.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.